New York City, October 2018. The rain hammered against the windows of our Brooklyn brownstone like it was trying to break in. I, Elena Hayes, 32, stood in the kitchen stirring pasta, humming an old Taylor Swift song, waiting for Michael to walk through the door with that goofy grin and a bottle of cheap red wine. Michael was my everything, the finance guy who still believed in handwritten love notes and Sunday morning bagels in bed. We'd been married 6 years. No kids yet, but we were trying. Life was good. Stable. Mine. The doorbell rang at 9:17 p.m. Not Michael's key. 2 police officers, soaked, faces like stone. Mrs. Hayes? That's when my world cracked open. They said it was a robbery gone wrong on the F train platform. Michael had been coming home from a late client meeting. 1 bullet to the chest. The shooter took his wallet, watch, and disappeared into the rain. No witnesses. No CCTV angle. Just another statistic in a city that ate its own. I collapsed on the floor of the precinct, screaming until my throat bled. The funeral was a blur of black dresses and empty casseroles. Michael's mother flew in from Ohio and never stopped crying. I didn't eat for 9 days. That's when Victor Lang stepped in. My boss at Lang Capital, the hedge fund king of Manhattan. 38, tall, silver at the temples, always in Tom Ford suits that cost more than my annual salary. He'd been Michael's college roommate once upon a time, small world. Victor paid for the funeral, the mahogany casket, the flowers, everything. He sat with me in the hospital when the grief meds knocked me out. He brought me soup to the empty brownstone. He held my hand at the gravesite and whispered, "You're not alone, Elena." Never again. I believed him. 6 months later, I was back at Lang Capital as Victor's executive assistant. The office on the 47th floor of One World Trade Center felt like a sanctuary. Victor never pushed. He just was there. Late-night strategy sessions turned into dinners at Lou Bernardine. He listened when I cried about Michael's empty side of the bed. He never made a move until I did. One night in March 2019, after too much Pinot, I kissed him in his penthouse in Tribeca. He tasted like safety and power. We made love on silk sheets while the city lights glittered below us. He cried afterward, actual tears, and said, "I've loved you since the day Michael introduced us at that Christmas party. I just never thought I'd get the chance." We married in a small ceremony in the Hamptons, June 2020. COVID made it intimate, just us, his sister, and a judge. I wore a simple white dress. Victor slipped a 3-carat diamond on my finger and promised, "I will spend every day making sure you never feel that pain again." For 4 years, he kept that promise. We bought a glass mansion in Scarsdale. We traveled to Santorini, Tokyo, Aspen. Sex was passionate, conversations deep. He built me a library filled with first edition novels Michael used to read. On our 3rd anniversary, he surprised me with a golden retriever puppy we named Max, the dog Michael always wanted. I was happy. Truly, stupidly happy. I even started therapy and told Dr. Patel, "Victor saved me. He's the only reason I'm still breathing." Dr. Patel smiled and said, "Sometimes the universe sends us exactly what we need." I believed her too. October 2024. 6 years to the day since Michael died. Victor was in London closing a $1 billion deal. I was home alone, cleaning out the attic storage for a winter renovation. Max kept barking at an old cardboard box shoved behind Victor's college hockey trophies. Inside, a black ski mask. Faded. Stained with something dark on the left side, under the mask, a scratched Rolex Submariner. The exact model Michael wore the night he died. The one the police said the robber took. My hands shook so hard the watch fell and cracked the glass vase. I told myself it was coincidence. Victor collected vintage watches. Maybe he bought it at an auction. But then I found the gun. A 9mm Glock, serial number filed off, wrapped in the same black cloth. 1 bullet missing from the magazine. I sat on the attic floor for 3 hours, Max whining at my feet, while the pieces slowly clicked into place. The night Michael died, Victor had told me he was working late at the office. Security logs I pulled from the company server the next morning showed he left at 8:45 p.m., plenty of time to get to the F-train platform. I started digging. Private investigator. Off the books. $50,000 cash. 2 weeks later the report arrived in a plain envelope. Victor Lang had been skimming client funds in 2018. Michael, his old roommate and occasional outside accountant, found out. Blackmail emails recovered from an old server. Michael wanted 40% or he'd go to the SEC. Victor's response? 1 bullet. The investigator even got a partial fingerprint match from the mask lining. Victor's. I threw up in the attic. When Victor came home from London smelling of airplane scotch and cologne, he kissed my forehead and said, "Missed you, baby. Everything okay?" I smiled the same smile I'd given him for 4 years and whispered, "Perfect." Inside, something died and something colder was born. I didn't confront him. Not yet. Instead, I became the perfect wife while planning his destruction. I made love to him that night like nothing was wrong, moaned his name, scratched his back, told him he was my whole world. While he slept, I copied every file on his laptop. I transferred $2.3 million from our joint accounts to an offshore one in my maiden name. I planted a keylogger. Every day I smiled bigger. Cooked his favorite meals. Wore the lingerie he loved. Laughed at his jokes. Inside, I was screaming. I started seeing Dr. Patel again, this time to practice my performance. She thought I was dealing with anniversary grief. I told her Victor was my rock. She never suspected I was rehearsing the role of the devoted wife while sharpening the knife. I found the final piece on a cold December night. Victor got drunk at the company holiday party. Back home, whiskey loose on his tongue, he pulled me into his lap by the fireplace and said, "You know what's funny, Elena? Sometimes the universe gives you exactly what you want, even if you have to take it." I stroked his hair and asked softly, "What do you mean, baby?" He laughed, eyes glassy. "Michael. He was going to ruin me. I couldn't let him." That night on the platform, he looked so surprised when I pulled the mask up for a second. He kissed my neck. "But then I got you. Best trade I ever made." I kissed him back, tears sliding down my cheeks that he mistook for love. That was the moment the old Elena died completely. I spent the next 4 months becoming his nightmare dressed as his dream. I convinced him to put the entire company in a new trust, for tax purposes, baby, the lawyers said it's smarter. He signed everything while I rubbed his shoulders. I leaked the embezzlement files to the SEC anonymously. They raided Lang Capital on a Tuesday morning in March 2025. Victor was arrested in his office in handcuffs while CNBC cameras rolled live. I stood outside the building in a black coat, Max on a leash, looking devastated for the reporters. "Mrs. Lang, how do you feel?" they shouted. I sobbed on camera. "My husband is innocent. This is a nightmare. Oscar-worthy." While Victor sat in Rikers fighting charges, I filed for divorce on grounds of irreconcilable differences and emptied every remaining account. I sold the Scarsdale mansion.